Please turn your Bibles to 2 Kings 16. It's page 388 in the Pew Bibles. It's amazing how people will drop an idea in your mind and it'll sit there and germinate for a while. Zion and Randy and I have a friend, Brother George Paul, who preaches, in my estimation, the greatest sermons that I've ever been able to hear. However, I can never take one of his sermons and preach it. I can take one of his sermons and preach 4 sermons. I may even get it down to 3 sermons, but that's as good as I can do because he puts so much into it. Well, some years ago, he preached on this passage, and that idea just sat there in the back of my mind. And when we came to talking about baptism, this chapter came to mind because it's one of those that talks about the last Old Testament picture of baptism we're going to address before we move to the New Testament. What about churches that have gone in the wrong direction? What does that look like? What are the signs that a church is going down the wrong road? What are the signs that a person is going down the wrong road? Well, 2 Kings, or chapter 16, really takes all of this and puts it in this one little chapter. It's a very vivid picture indeed. If you would, please look with me at the first paragraph, which starts with verse 1. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. He did not do what was right in the sight of the Lord his God, as his father David had done, but he walked in the way of the kings of Israel. Indeed, he made his son pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the nations whom the Lord had cast from before the children of Israel. And he sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. Ahaz was a different kind of king for the southern kingdom. Now Israel, if you remember, under Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, had split into 2 kingdoms. Israel was the 10 tribes which were in the north, Judah and Levi, the 2 tribes in the south. The southern kingdom was called Judah, the northern kingdom was called Israel. The northern kingdom went bad right away. Some of you have read this recently. They put up golden calves for places to worship. They just jumped right into heathen worship, and the northern kingdom lasted 200 years less than the southern kingdom. But in the southern kingdom, the kings at least tried to be good. Tried. But Solomon had started something that was bad. He worshipped the false gods that his wives brought with them when he married them. You see, Solomon, with all that wisdom, didn't always listen to the wisdom God gave him. Now, see, we men go, yeah. Now, because he could afford it, he had 700 official wives and 300 unofficial wives who were called concubines. Why did he do that? His excuse was that by marrying the daughters of all these kings that were around him, that would bring peace. Now, women, you're ready for this, aren't you? Only a man could think that by having 1,000 wives that there could be peace. Right? Yeah, read the Proverbs when he's sitting there on his throne, talking away all this wisdom that God gave him, and then suddenly he says, it's better to live on the corner of the roof than in a house with a sumptuous house with a contentious woman. And you know why? Because he's sitting there pontificating, talking, and all of a sudden from over here to the side, number 33 says, oh dear. Huh? And he starts talking again, and he says, you know, a contentious wife is like a water torture, basically is what he said. Because number 58 just stepped in, oh honey, You know? Yeah. Those 1,000 wives brought with them their false gods, and he worshiped them. He did. But until King Ahaz, this guy here in 2 Kings 16, came along, the kings who followed Solomon mostly worshipped in the temple, then worshipped the true and living God. And they kind of winked at the false gods whose shrines dotted the countryside, but not Ahaz. Ahaz dove in whole hog head first. Here in this first paragraph, we see what that looked like. He didn't even pretend to have a heart for God, like his ancestor David. He offered his son as a burnt offering to Molech, the false god. Now that meant one of two things, and neither one of them's pretty. The statue to Molech was a giant body, a human body, with a bull's head. It was huge. It was probably as tall as this building. In its stomach was a furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the fiery furnace. In the god's stomach was this giant cast iron idol. There was a blazing furnace in its enormous stomach, which the furnace was probably about as big as this backdrop behind me. It held its arms out like this idol did. And the way that they would sacrifice baby boys to it is they would lay the child kicking and screaming on the arms, those outstretched arms, and the baby would then slide down into the flaming stomach furnace. That was one way they would do it. Another way is that as part of the worship, on the sacrificial fire, they would roast the child, and the priest and the parent would then eat it. They've actually uncovered human bones at these sacrifices with teeth marks in them, where they ate them like we eat chicken. Yeah. Ahaz did one of those two things. Both were very common practices. And then he made the rounds at the idols, the shrines of the false gods. Now this is tragically funny. Where did those gods come from? From these other kingdoms, where they brought nothing as far as good fortune to those kingdoms. Now let's bring it right here to the United States. Anybody here ever hear of the worship of Islam, the Muslim religion? Go back to the countries where that religion came from. You ever hear of the worship of Buddha? Go back to the country where that came from. What do those people live like in those countries? They follow donkey carts around, right? Now, their leaders may live in lack of luxury, but the people live in abject poverty. And isn't it tragically funny that they bring those gods here and say, ooh, let's worship them? Of course, that doesn't happen close to us, does it? Just go right up 75 here, there's that big mosque right there. Now, that's just as stupid as thinking by marrying 1,000 women you can have a peaceful household. Isn't it? Does that carry on today? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What happens around us? Well, you know, it used to be that when people were around Christians, they kind of watched what they said, didn't they? It used to be that I didn't hear the jokes because I'm a preacher. I didn't hear the sayings that were considered bad language. But now what happens? People just pops out of their mouth and then they say, oh, excuse my French. I've been to Haiti. French is their official language. That's not French. You know? How about worshiping God? Used to be 3 times a year at least. Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving, they'd show up at church, right? But now those are big sport days. Football games and so on and so forth. So they don't do that anymore. How about offering children to false gods? This is going to hurt. Get ready. It's going to hurt. How many of us have children? And you notice I said us. Who are living sinful lives. We just chalk it up to the modern times we live in. We don't stand as Christians. Oh yeah, we can talk about people outside these doors, that's real easy. But how big a stand are we taking?
Amen.
And then I want to flip this other one over. You know, instead of worshiping other places and other things, I like what I'm seeing here. I do. I really do, because people are coming here to the North Baltimore Church of Christ because they don't want the cheap shrines anymore. Have you noticed that? Yeah, people are saying, you know, that has a good impact in people's lives, that church. They treat each other well. They love each other. You know, they don't always do things that make each other happy. They kind of butt heads once in a while. But they love each other. That's what's said about you here in this community, about us. And that's neat. You know? And what else is going on? I have a friend, I haven't seen him in a bunch of years. But about 35 years ago, he had an event happen in his life that bothered him. He was downtown Chicago, Illinois. Anybody ever been downtown Chicago? I've been lost there. And it was strange. We got lost twice there. Once was just in the hotel. But this man was standing in downtown Chicago, Illinois. Again, it's been about 35 years ago. He looks up, there's the Sears Tower, the Hancock Building, and blah, blah. And over here is one that, and on the side of it was a giant Playboy logo. It was Playboy's world headquarters. And there were a couple ways that you could respond to that, but he decided to do something different. Rather than just being disgusted, he said, I'm going to start praying. And he did. He prayed against the Playboy empire. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And I can remember reading when the Playboy clubs started closing, one after another. I remember the last one that closed, which was in Lansing, Michigan. That started to happen. And then, that headquarters downtown Chicago, down came the Playboy emblem, and somebody else rented the building because there wasn't enough business to keep it going. And then I heard this, so while I was writing this message this week, I Googled it, and sure enough, maybe some of you read this too. 2 years ago, Playboy magazine quit publishing pictures of nude women. I guess that's a test to see if people really did read it for the articles or not. But they quit doing that. You see, that's the opposite of what we see a lot of people doing today, who they will worship anything except the true and living God. It could be sports, it could be a hobby, you name it. But when it comes down to worshiping the true and living God, and that's what we see in this guy, Ahaz. And once you start moving away from God, what happens? Let's keep reading. You got your Bible still open there. 2 Kings chapter 16. Go down with me to verse 5. Then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to make war. They besieged Ahaz, but they could not overcome him. At that time, Rezin, king of Syria, captured Elath for Syria, and drove the men of Judah from Elath. Then the Edomites went to Elath and dwelt there to this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me from the hand of the king of Syria and from the hand of the king of Israel, who rise up against me. And Ahaz took the silver and the gold which was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house, and sent it as a present to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria heeded him, for the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it, and carried its people captive to Kir, and killed Rezin. Now, there's something in here I want to warn you about Ahaz. Now, I tell you this because you never know when something could hit you. It's happened to me on this guy. If you follow the timeline of what's given here about Ahaz, and if the numbers that are in here are correct, Ahaz became the father of his son Hezekiah when Ahaz was 10 years old. That's kind of difficult. Okay? Somebody, somewhere back along the line, one of the scribes that was copying the copies of Scripture, made a boo-boo. He wrote a number down wrong. And I don't know who it was. I've never found a scholar who knows who it was who did this. And here's the funny part. If God really wanted that straightened out, I think he could have done it. Don't you? But apparently, God said, there's bigger things to worry about. And it's never been corrected. But if anybody ever gets in your face and says, well, you know, Ahaz was only 10 years old when his son Hezekiah was born, say, probably not. Somebody was making a copy and did it wrong. And you know what? I don't think God loses any sleep over that. And if God's not losing any sleep over it, I'm not going to either. Can we all agree on stuff like that? Okay. But Ahaz was a bad king. How bad was he? This thing where these other kings came up against him, I did a little research on that. Not a whole bunch. I didn't want to stay there forever. But it appears that the reason they came up and attacked him and tried to overthrow him was his own people asked them to. His own subjects said, we don't like this guy. He's an idiot. He's bad. So they instigated this where the other kings came in and attacked him. Now let me ask you something. When you get away from God and get into sin, what do other people think of that? Huh? What do they think of that? You may even dive into sin with them. Because they kind of lured you over to their side. But what happens? You ever hear that old saying, people may like you, but they won't respect you? Happened to Ahaz. His own people lost all respect for their king. So Ahaz went over to the enemy and decided to buy his friendship. First he groveled. He called Tiglath-Pileser, the king of Syria, his friend. He even called him his father. And instead of praying and asking God to take and defend him, which God was more than able to do, proven time and time again, you won't believe what Ahaz did, but you just read it. He went into the temple, stole God's gold, and gave it to Tiglath-Pileser to buy his friendship. Went into his own palace, took his gold, and gave it to him to buy his friendship. Now, the king of Assyria wasn't stupid. You know, he took the money. He was the king. He could always go back on his word, right? But he took the money. He wasn't a dummy. The bad guy was Ahaz. We could go on about that for a while, but let's keep reading. Verse 10 and following. Now, King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, the king of Assyria, and saw an altar that was in Damascus. And King Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest the design of the altar and its pattern, according to all of its workmanship. Then Uriah the priest built an altar according to all that King Ahaz had sent from Damascus. So Uriah the priest made it before King Ahaz came back from Damascus. And when the king came back from Damascus, the king saw the altar, and the king approached the altar and made offerings on it. So he burned his burnt offerings and his grain offerings, and he poured out his drink offerings and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings on the altar. He also brought the bronze altar which was before the Lord from the front of the temple and between the new altar and the house of the Lord, and put it on the north side of the new altar. Then King Ahaz commanded Uriah the priest, saying, on the great new altar burn the morning burnt offerings and the evening grain offerings, the king's burnt sacrifice and his grain offerings, with the burnt offering of all the people of the land, their grain offering and their drink offerings, and sprinkle on it all the blood of the sacrifice. And the bronze altar shall be for me to inquire by. Thus did Uriah the priest, according to all that King Ahaz commanded. Now remember our challenges today. What about baptism? What actions can kill a church? And what does it look like in the case of an individual like you or me? Well, look here at Ahaz. He flattered Tiglath-Pileser. He called him his best friend. He called him his dad. He bribed him with gold that he stole from God's temple. And now he goes to visit the other king, to bow, to grovel at his feet. And once he started this, there was no end to it. First, he had a copy of the altar that Tiglath-Pileser worshipped on. Now, this was a pagan altar for false gods. This is one of the things which was an abomination, which means it makes God hold his nose in disgust. But Ahaz wanted to keep scoring points with the king of Assyria, so he had the pagan altar copied exactly and put it in place of God's altar in God's temple. Did you get that? It's so bad I don't even want to repeat it. And then he had God's altar moved way off to one side and said, well, I'll make my own personal sacrifices on that, maybe if I get around to it. Yeah. And things went on downhill from there. Let's keep reading and finish this little chapter, starting with verse 17. And King Ahaz cut off the panels of the carts and removed the laborers from them, and took down the seat from the bronze oxen that were under it, and put it on a pavement of stones. Also he removed the Sabbath pavilion, which they had built in the temple, and he removed the king's outer entrance from the house of the Lord on account of the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Ahaz rested with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. Then Hezekiah his son reigned in his place. Now remember, we said we were going to look at the final picture in the Old Testament. Now this isn't the final one, but the last one we're going to look at, of baptism. Now when the tabernacle was built, remember this was portable church. This was where the Jewish people worshiped, but it was portable. In there the priest had the laver. That's what we read in Exodus earlier. It was a wash basin. When they went in, they would go to this basin, they would wash their hands and their feet before they went to worship God. If they went in dirty, God would strike them dead. Now when the temple was built, they made more of these lavers, and then they also upsized it with this giant laver, which was also beautiful. Read about it when they made that thing. It was an elaborate bronze bowl. It was 45 feet around. It was 8 feet tall, and it sat on the backs of 12 life-sized oxen. It was as big as, it held as much water as a full-size swimming pool. The priests, when they went into worship, took a total bath in this laver. It wasn't like the other ones where they washed their hands and their feet. They took a total bath. They went into the thing, they were totally immersed. Why? We're repeating ourselves here. If they appeared before God dirty, they died. Is that a picture of baptism, yes or no? Yes, it is. You see, who are Christians today? The scripture is in your bulletin, 1 Peter 2:5. Who are the priests today? We are. Can we appear before God dirty? No, we can't. We have to be baptized for the forgiveness of our sins, to be clean. If we don't, we die, which means we go to hell. Is that simple? Do I need to slow down and say it again? I'm serious on this. I am. It is really this simple. But what did Ahaz do? He altered the washing. He degraded the cleansing in preparation to meet God. He took the laver off the backs of the bronze oxen. Doesn't say he destroyed the oxen. What did he do? He probably lined them up outside his palace to impress people. Because remember, everything else was gone. He'd given that to Tiglath-Pileser to buy his friendship. There was hardly any gold left in Jerusalem, so he probably put those bulls out there to impress people and had people polish them and keep the bronze shining. Then he took the laver and he degraded it by parking it on the floor. Now, we could spend a couple hours this morning. We're not going to do this. But have churches today downgraded baptism? Go jump on YouTube and type in baptism. You'll see some strange stuff. There's a church I saw, I've seen this several times, where they take a kiddie's pool, it's about this big. They set it on a table and they bring people over to baptize them. They kind of grab the back of their head and go sploosh. You know, so they get their head and their shoulders a little bit. And you're baptized. That's one. You know, we could go on and on. Well, what does the New Testament say? The New Testament says you go down in the water, you immerse people. The word baptize, when properly translated, means plunge, dip, or immerse. It is that simple. It's not complicated. And you do it to people who have made a free and deliberate decision on their own, and we do it to have the guilt of sin removed. Okay, now if you want to talk about that at length, just wind up. Come on, Mr. Patterson. Isn't that awful? Look right at me and the mind goes, zoom, just right off. Yeah, Art's boy. Thanks, Aaron, for letting me laugh. But wind him up. He has a way of explaining it that just thrills my heart. But right here in 2 Kings 16, there's a picture of baptism, and the king degrades it. He degrades it. Now, can we use that in talking to people about baptism? Sure. Because people degrade things all the time. If you get sucked into a talk about politics right now, do you think that might happen to you? Have people degraded the presidency of the United States? Don't get into it, but there's a jumping off point to talk about baptism. It really is. Look what this guy did. He was a bad king. He sacrificed his son to a false god. He replaced the rightful worship of God with a pagan altar, and he degraded this Old Testament picture of baptism. But he had one more thing he was going to do. Now, when you go back to 1 Kings chapter 10, we're not going to go there, but pretty much all of you have read that, and you know what's in 1 Kings chapter 10, even if you don't remember. There was a gal who visited King Solomon. Remember her? Fred's nodding his head. Who was she? The Queen of Sheba. And when she visited King Solomon, she was thrilled. I mean, this blew her away. You know, when she saw him and all of the things he had built, his retinue, his palace, I mean, she was floored. When you read that chapter, okay, there was one thing that she saw that she just was found stunning. From his palace over to the temple, he had built a covered walkway. Now, from what I can tell in reading about it, it was both the stairways. It's not like around here where everything's kind of level. It was, Jerusalem's built on hills. So there were stairways, there was a walkway, but the whole thing was covered. It was a covered walkway from the temple to the palace and vice versa. And it was beautiful. It was beyond measure. And what was so special about it? Why was it there? Well, Solomon wasn't a perfect guy. We've talked about that earlier. But here's what he did. He made sure that rain or shine, no matter what, he and his family